IPMNation.com.
Matt Connarton Unleashed.
And welcome to another episode of Ouellette at Large. Today we're going to do something different. We're going to hold a press conference, and it begins right now. For those of you who really know who I am, you know that I am RJ Ouellette, and that I'm a very serious person, and when I fight for things that I strongly believe in, I have the passion to carry it through and try to make the changes that are needed so that it can benefit the people of our city. This is not a press conference on running for office. This is a press conference on jokes going too far. A real man knows that his words are golden, so he means what he says and talks through his actions. For months now, on Channel 23, there are certain shows that have been creating jokes on my behalf, and that's fine, because I always live a philosophy of it's not all about me, and I have broad shoulders. But for those of you who are aware, and for those of you who are not, I am in the process of adopting a son, a 16-year-old boy who's going to start school in our school district this fall. The jokes have gone too far when it starts to affect a child. Bullying is not allowed. It's not allowed in schools, it's not allowed in the community. It should not be allowed on TV as well. So I will speak my piece because it is as much my freedom to make this statement as it is theirs to make the jokes. The only thing different is when it becomes lies and repetitious. Yesterday, Wednesday, first week in June, for 4 hours of 3 programmings in one day, constant pounding of the same jokes. It gets to a point that it's called harassment, and I'll tell you why. Those of you who watch the Norm and Friends show, and now the new Connarton Unleashed show on a weekly basis, I don't need that, know that for months I have been the joke of their shows. If they need to have more guests, then they should be working harder. The shows are between, one show, Matt Connarton Unleashed, is at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Some of the words that are used are pretty colorful, but not appropriate for a 2 o'clock in the afternoon family program. The 4 to 6 o'clock show on Norm and Friends, too many of these jokes are not appropriate for our children who are at home continuously hearing the same thing over and over again. Let me make something perfectly clear. What I do in my private life is as much private as what you, the citizens out there, do in your private life. How would you like it if someone came in week after week and said they were going to marry you to a woman and a man, and last week Matt Connarton went one step further and said he would have me married to my son? That is disgusting, uncalled for, and unethical. I have already adopted my son as of October in Ghana. He's pretty much ready to get back to living with me now and start school in the fall. But I had to complete the adoption papers here in the US of A. It is affecting what is happening here by these 2 shows. So on Monday morning, I'm going to file a legitimate complaint because it is no longer freedom of speech. It is no longer a joke. It's a pattern, and it turns out to be harassment. Now, if it just affected myself, that would be fine, but it doesn't. But it's going to affect my son as he starts school. And it's not fair for that kid to have to go through that because of someone's ignorance. When the call was made last week claiming that it was myself speaking, and I came right on the air and said no, that it wasn't, that it was me. It was a big joke. And this week, it got continued and sent even further. Let me make it clear that I did not throw my cane in the studio yesterday. My cane dropped out of my hand when I picked it up. It slipped out of my hand. There's a difference there. And when Norm calls yelling, I didn't yell at him. I just asked that he make a legitimate apology. When you put a poll on your internet and you say, should I have to apologize to Glenn Ouellette? And your answers are not one or two answers, but three. One, yes, no, or yes, sarcasm movie. You know, you can be sarcastic all you want and give jokes, and that's fine. But there has to be a limit. You can't continue it over and over again. We all know that I'm not going to marry a man and a woman, and I'm certainly not going to marry my son. It's just gone too far. It is not only affecting my son, it has affected my everyday life through the phone calls that I am getting. And that's not fair to him, and it's not fair to me. So put yourself, people who are watching, in my footsteps, and just think if you were getting those phone calls. Again, I say a real man knows that his words are golden, so he means what he says and talks through his actions. Their actions are not genuine. They're not truthful. And they are creating not only a hurt on my behalf, but mostly on my son's behalf when he starts school in the fall. That I will not tolerate. The pattern continues to be to the point of harassment week after week, and therefore 4 hours just yesterday on 3 shows, constant pounding. It's no longer a joke. Producers should know better than criticize other people's shows. If someone says something and it's not true, that's something else. That should be corrected. But the pun joke, every single show on these two producers, week after week, is not tolerated. Not to be tolerated. It's not right for me to do it or for them to do it. So I'm not going to play their game and continue. Instead, I'm going to file my legitimate complaint because it's gone too far. And I'm not going to do what Steve Valancourt did. Resign from his show and then settle out of court. Because this time it affects a 16-year-old, not just myself. And that's where the hurt comes in. It's not fair. It's no longer a joke when it continues week after week, show after show, and the stories that are said to be actual lies. It's not a joke when you lie about something. For your information, Matt Connarton, you're not my type. Straight, gay, or bi, you would not be my type. Your words are disgusting and unethical. And because of that, I am seriously considering stopping the link of QCE News on IPM Nation. I am doing all the work. I am paying all the bills, and he is getting the shows for free. And this is how he repays a so-called friend. And then he states to the public that what they are doing is not malice. When it affects a child, it is. It has become that pattern of harassment. And bullying must be stopped when it affects somebody else's lives, specifically family members. We still have to live in this city. And that will be for that. But I have another reason for this press conference. And it has to do with an arrest. Just think of it this way. Can you imagine you are robbed in your home? You call the Manchester Police Department. They come. They take your information. They go back to the car and they look to see if you have a warrant for your arrest. They come back to the door and they say they found a warrant for your arrest that's over 12 years old that was never sent out to serve. Those of you out there who know me, I have lived at 112 Auburn Street for nearly 13 years. In fact, it's going to be 13 years come December 7th. I'm at City Hall every other week. I'm in here every Thursday. They know who I am. Why did it take 12 years? Secondly, I don't recall that it happened. Thirdly, they can't even answer a simple question. Who made the arrest? And what street was I on when you stopped me? I'm being accused of driving without a license in 2001. So tomorrow morning, I'm going to go to court and defend myself the best I can. It's gone too far. 12 years, and you couldn't, the Manchester Police Department could not find Glenn RJ Ouellette? That's a laughing stock. A lot of the cops know who I am by name. But nobody in the force in 12 years could find out where I live. So when you are being told that you are a fugitive from justice, and for 12 years you've been living amongst a community allowed, I'm not hiding, and you can't find me, it's certainly not by my fault. This is a joke. We talk about safety. In January, I went to Canada to go to my sister-in-law's funeral. I did not have a passport, but I took a chance. Because I was raised on a border town between northern Maine and western New Brunswick, people still know me there. All they have to do is check out to see if I have a warrant for my arrest. Both the Canadian government and the American government, 5 days in a row as I crossed back and forth until the funeral was over, checked on it. Not once did it come up on the computer that there was a warrant for my arrest. And do you know why? Because it never got even tried to serve to begin with. You can't serve someone if you don't try. You can't say someone's a fugitive of justice when they're right there in your community living amongst you, and you know who they are, you know where they live, and you can't find them? Now, do I look like a citizen that's hiding? I don't think so. So it's gone too far. That's the price you pay in Manchester, New Hampshire for the freedom of speech. When you tell the truth, all they want to do is deny it. And when they can't, because the facts are there, they will try everything they can to try to discredit you or destroy you. Hard to discredit someone that's telling the truth. So I wonder how effective our force really is right now. You wonder why people come from all over the world and want to blow us up. We're supposed to have a security, a homeland security. But you can't even serve a simple warrant in 12 years to claim you don't know who the person is and you can't find that person? When that person, it doesn't make any sense. Anybody out there who doesn't even know me could easily find me. Because I make myself present in this city, very well known. So it wouldn't be difficult to trace where I am every day. So enough is enough. I'm leaving it to you, the people, to make that judgment. And I will be leaving it in the courts tomorrow. Why should I pay a fine for something that I don't recall happened, and then the warrant doesn't even have the paper attached to it verifying that it ever happened? That's not justice in this country. Thank you very much. And now, if you give me 30 seconds, I will go to my regular seat and continue the show. Hello, welcome to Ouellette at Large.
Glenn, this is Norm. I want to officially apologize if I have done anything to hurt your character or anything else. This is and one thing I will tell you, and I make this official, you can still file a complaint. If you can make a complaint, whatever. But if I had really, truly, that was not my intentions of I'm hurting your feelings emotionally, physically, or whatever. And I don't believe anything was ever said about you marrying your son. But however, if you think we did, I can't speak for Matt. Only I can speak for my show. And that we will no longer, this is my word, I will no longer talk about anything that you do, good, bad, or indifferent. And I will officially apologize to you and your friends out there so that you don't feel that you're going to be hurt. You don't have to believe me if you don't want to. That's your choice. But I officially apologize to you and all the people. If you have listened to my show through and through, you will see that we said a lot of good things about you as well. Did we not?
Yes, that's not the point. The point is when the jokes
The point is,
continue,
I am apologizing.
and I accept your apology. The point that I'm trying to
I
make.
will promise you, on my part, we will never pick on you about Matt or anybody else. This is on my part, okay? I am not going to be responsible for what anybody else says.
Oh, I understand that. I accept your apology. What I'm trying to say, Norm, is that
Would you please accept my apologies on that?
I accept your apology. The point that I'm trying to make is it's not all about me, and so I can take a joke. But when it starts affecting my family members, you, for example, know that your granddaughter has been harassed before, and you got her to change school and how much she's doing better. I don't want my son to live in that same atmosphere. He should not have to come here, start high school, and be harassed because of jokes.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I will. You have my word, and I'm usually pretty good at my word. We've known each other for a very long time.
Yes, we have.
And the only way, if I do say something, it'll be a nice complimentary way, okay?
Even though it's not nice, if it's the truth, it's fine. But the joke is no longer a joke when it happens week after week after week.
Yeah.
It becomes...
Well, as of now, so I don't want to offend you anymore. That as of now, I am going to publicly state, and I will actually put it on Facebook if you want, or you can put it on, I can send me your email, and I'll send it to Q City News or whatever you call it, and I will also put it in writing as well.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Have a good week. Just think this could have been simply done when I asked him to stop to begin with. But when it continues, so I do accept your apology. I think my biggest problem, though, is my son. I'm concerned about my son.
Matt Connarton Unleashed.
IPMNation.com.